So let's talk Full Moon Productions, or as they're called now, Full Moon Features, the company that Charles Band started way back and has just, and they were like huge in the 90s. I believe it was the 90s when they really came to full power, where they just cranked out that they did the Puppet Master films and the Demonic Toys and all this stuff and a lot of films about tiny creatures, but they became like the new AIP in the 80s into the 90s and beyond, where they were just cranking out genre films and sequels to genre films and ridiculous movies, and some that were really fun and some that were not very good. But overall, I was always just impressed that they were this runaway train for a period of time in the video store era. And they still exist to this day. Charles Band has turned that into a streaming service and a website, and you can buy all the old stuff. And he's doing things like what I'm about to talk about, remastering and upgrading the films that you first saw on cable or on USA Network or on videotape. This is Seed People from 1992, a new remastered Blu-ray of Seed People. This is one of those films that I think I saw it on Cinemax way back when. And I was not a fan of Full Moon Productions at the time. I was always impressed by that they did what they did and that they had a following, but I just never really dug them that much. A couple I liked, but not too many. And Seed People was one that I watched back then, and I was like, wow, this was a lot of fun. This is really just like a 50s sci-fi movie, and it is. It's very much inspired by, it's really kind of a mix. I'll tell you what the story is in a second. It's really kind of a mix of Invasion of the Body Snatchers and Critters. Pretty obviously a mix of those two, but it's still fun. I don't mind movies that kind of knock off other movies as long as these knockoff movies are entertaining, and Seed People is. So this is 81 minutes, was directed by Peter Manoogian, and has Sam Hennings and Andrea Roth, so probably nobody in this that you'd really recognize facially or name-wise, which is okay. It does not bother me a bit. It kind of takes me out of it when I see people I recognize in some movies. It's 178 widescreen, so it's not the way it looked when you rented it on tape, and you can listen to it in English Dolby Digital 2.0 or English 5.1 Dolby Digital. It has English subtitles, and it's region free, which means anywhere in the world you can buy this Blu-ray, toss it in your player, and it'll play just fine. No muss, no fuss, no hardware or remote hacks or anything like that. You don't have to jump down and turn around or pick a bale of cotton. It looks fantastic. It looks very sharp, which is kind of funny for me because these movies always had that 90s look to them. Did I mention this was from 1992? They have that period of time, late 80s into the mid 90s, had a very flat lighting, too bright. The colors were a little, I don't know. I don't love the look. I don't love movies from this era for many reasons, and the aesthetic is one of them. But this one really didn't bother me that way. So the basic story here, looking at my notes just cleverly off camera, which you'd never know if I didn't, point out and tell you about that. A geologist returns to his hometown, and he winds up staying in the bed and breakfast owned by his ex-girlfriend because there are reports of like meteor rocks that have fallen from the sky or something like that, and he's coming to study them. And it turns out those meteor rocks have caused these giant weird flowers to grow in the nearby woods. And when people go and look at them and say things like, I don't know, aren't you a pretty flower? This thing shoots pollen in their face, and they get transformed into the titular Seed People. It's goofy and it's fun. I mean, maybe there's even like a little hint, I guess, of Day of the Triffids in there with that. And so the Seed People either walk around like emotionless drones looking like everybody else, which would get, this is what you would get the Invasion of the Body Snatchers or even Invaders from Mars aspect to it. And then they also transform into these gruesome little rubber monsters that kind of roll around like tumbleweeds. That's the critters angle there. And I think it's just fun. It's just fun. There's nothing wrong with a movie that's goofy and gory and goopy and just plain fun. And Seed People is just plain fun. So it's a total 50s throwback. And practical effects, hello? Yes, I don't think that seed person is real, but I believe that seed person is really there, which is more than I can say for most CGI. So it's, I don't know, it's Seed People, for God's sake, but it's fun. If you're the kind of person, who's this review for? If you like goofy old 50s movies and Full Moon Productions, I would recommend Seed People. If you like Remains of the Day and Enchanted April, you still might like Seed People. I don't know. Special features, you get a vintage video zone. This was something that was always on the Full Moon tapes back then, which would be promotion for an upcoming film, maybe behind the scenes about the film you were about to watch or had just watched. It was a cool little like video magazine, as they used to call them, that would be put on the tapes. And it's great that because Charles Band owns, all the Full Moon stuff, they can resurrect these things for these releases, and they look good. They're not like some releases where it's a copy of a copy or somebody pulls it off YouTube or whatever because nobody can locate a master of the thing. This looks as good as it can, considering that it was probably mastered on beta or on tape way back when. It's a 10-minute video zone, features shot on video behind the scenes footage from the original tape release, as I said, and it looks what the film originally would have looked like in 4:3. So when they show clips from the movie, that's what it looked like on tape on your modern TV. So it's a nice contrast to what this looks like on the Blu-ray edition, and just cool behind the scenes stuff about special effects tests, special effects sketches. It really gets into how they made this movie. And there's something about seeing video footage shot on the set of a film that I've only ever known as a film resolution experience that's always kind of cool, especially when it's video footage shot before you would have expected to have video footage on the set, but 92 camcorders were everywhere. But it's kind of cool to see if you like the movie. And even if you don't love the movie, it's just neat to see how these effects were done in their day on a budget. Then you get full moon trailers for Bad CGI Gator, Bring Her to Me, Amy, Dr. Death, Don't Let Her In, and Subspecies 5, Blood Rise. The disc itself, I love that they do this. The disc itself looks like the Seed People cover has always looked. It's no new modern reorganizing of the art. It's not something that tries to make it look contemporary. As a collector and a fan of movies and posters and things like that, I always want the original poster to be the cover, because I probably can't afford or have the wall space. Although a Seed People poster really kind of would fit right there. I don't always have the wall space for posters, so if I can have a replica of that, that's kind of good enough for me. So I love when they do that. And then the spine has the logo, which you can't really see, but that's cool. And cracker open, and nothing fancy, just a disc. But you know, be happy they did that much for it. A lot of movies like this, just the old masters get used. They don't get upgraded. They don't get maintained. They don't get revered. If you're a fan of Seed People, I can't imagine you wouldn't want to own this new Blu-ray from Full Moon Features, Seed People Remastered. Seed People.